I'm a 30-year-old guy living in the Midwest, and my girlfriend, Sarah, is 42. Yeah, I know, there's a pretty noticeable age gap between us, and believe me, I've heard all the comments. The raised eyebrows, the questions, the occasional snide remarks. But honestly, it doesn't bother me. Not really. It's easy to look at our age difference from the outside and assume things, but once you get to know us, you realize it's not a problem. In fact, it feels like the opposite, a connection that defies the usual expectations. Sarah is one of those rare people who doesn't fit neatly into any box. She's the complete package, smart, independent, energetic, and undeniably full of life. Her ability to keep up with my pace, which, to be fair, can be a bit all over the place sometimes, is impressive. The age gap between us feels less like something to overcome, and more like a bridge that has connected us in ways I couldn't have imagined. We started dating in May 2024. At the time, I never thought I'd be in a long-distance relationship, but with Sarah, everything just felt natural. Even though we live in different states, Sarah has this magical way of making our relationship feel real and solid, even from miles away. We're both busy, but it never feels like we're too far apart. She sends me little good morning texts that make me smile every time. And we've had some of the best late-night FaceTime sessions that leave me feeling like I've spent hours in her company, even when it's just the two of us talking about silly, random things. And then there are the surprises. She's the queen of thoughtful gestures, sending me gifts that show she's been paying attention to the little things I've said, like a book I mentioned wanting to read months ago, or a new pair of sneakers I casually admired. She plans our visits with such excitement, and when we're together, I feel like I'm the center of her world. It's not about grand gestures all the time, it's the consistency and effort she puts into our relationship that blows me away. When we're together, Sarah has this comforting presence that makes everything feel better. It's like I can finally breathe and relax. She's always there with a smile, a hug, or a simple gesture that makes me feel at home. And the way she takes care of me? It's not just sweet, it's the kind of care that feels like it comes from a deep place of love and attention. She notices when I've had a bad day and takes it upon herself to make things better. She doesn't just ask how I'm doing, she remembers the little things that matter, the stretches I need to do after a tough workout, the meds I forget to take, or just the way I like my coffee in the morning. Honestly, I've never experienced anything like this. I was so used to relationships where love felt like something that had to be worked for or forced. With Sarah, it's easy. It's natural. It's real. And the way she talks about our future? It's like she's already there, just waiting for us to catch up. For my birthday, she went all out. I'm talking a homemade dinner, a cake that was honestly better than anything I could have bought, and gifts that made me feel seen in a way I hadn't felt before. But what really got me was the card she wrote. She didn't just say, "Happy birthday," she wrote this long, heartfelt message that made me feel like I was the luckiest guy in the world. That night, I remember thinking, this is what it feels like to be truly loved, like really, deeply loved. And it felt amazing. Sarah introduced me to her family and friends not long after we started dating. Meeting her mom and stepdad was a big deal for me, especially since family means a lot to both of us. Her family welcomed me with open arms, and we got along right from the start. Her mom is warm and caring, and her stepdad is hilarious and down to earth. But meeting her dad? That was a whole different level. He lives in Hong Kong, so meeting him virtually over a video call was a little awkward at first, but still significant. It felt like he was giving me his approval, which meant a lot, especially since I didn't expect things to move that quickly. On my side, Sarah met my family too, and they adored her. My mom said she hasn't seen me this happy in years. My dad, who's a man of few words, approved in his own way, by offering her his secret homemade barbecue sauce recipe. If that's not a stamp of approval, I don't know what is. The way we met still feels like something out of a rom-com. Back in 2023, I signed up for this online language exchange program because I wanted to improve my Mandarin. I wasn't expecting anything more than a chance to practice, but Sarah was one of my study partners. At first, our sessions were strictly academic, just a couple of people swapping phrases and tips about language. But then, out of nowhere, something clicked. She was so easy to talk to, and I found myself sharing things with her I hadn't expected to. It wasn't just about Mandarin anymore, it was about everything. Life. Experiences. Whatever. One day, I decided to take a chance and flirt with her a little. I wasn't expecting anything, but she flirted right back, and that was it. Our connection shifted from academic to something a lot deeper. Fast forward to now, and Sarah is not just my girlfriend. She's my best friend, my partner, and the person who believes in me even when I don't believe in myself. She's been my biggest cheerleader, especially when it comes to learning Mandarin. She's patient, supportive, and even helps me with my English lessons, which has been a lot of fun for both of us. We've created this little bilingual world together, and every new phrase or idiom feels like a milestone we're celebrating together. But like any relationship, it's not all sunshine and roses. There's one thing that's been gnawing at me: her language partner, Mike. Now let me be clear. Sarah has 2 male language partners. One of them is a sweet older guy in his 70s who lives on the other side of the country. He's harmless, and honestly, he's kind of adorable. The other guy, Mike, lives in a neighboring state. He's closer to our age, and she's mentioned him a handful of times in passing. Every time, she's always smiling or laughing, and I can't help but feel a little twinge of jealousy. It's probably nothing, I tell myself, but the flicker of insecurity is always there. It's not that I don't trust her, it's just that I don't trust myself not to overthink. Sarah is naturally warm and friendly, and I've tried to remind myself that her kindness isn't reserved just for me. She has that kind of personality, it's who she is. But sometimes, that line between recognizing my insecurities and letting them control me blurs, and it gets hard to figure out if I'm just being paranoid. In August, I decided I had to address it. So, I told Sarah how I was feeling. And, as always, she handled it with grace. She didn't get defensive. She didn't brush me off. She listened to me and reassured me in a way that made me feel safe. And to make me feel better, she even handed me her phone so I could see her conversations with Mike. There was nothing to worry about. Just friendly chats about language and culture. To lighten the mood, I even messaged Mike pretending to be Sarah. He played along like a good sport, and after that, I felt a little better. But insecurities are sneaky. Even after all that reassurance, they don't just vanish. They linger. And I found myself overthinking again, second-guessing everything. It's exhausting. In December, Sarah came to stay with me for 6 weeks. It was incredible, but not without its challenges. Being together for an extended period brought us closer in ways I hadn't expected. One night I came home from work to find her cooking dinner, surrounded by her English books and notebooks. As I glanced at the open notebook, something caught my eye. "You are my goddess," written in both English and Mandarin. My stomach dropped. I couldn't help it. I felt like someone had just sucker punched me. Why would she write that? And who was it for? I didn't bring it up right away. Instead, I shoved the unease down deep inside, telling myself it wasn't worth the confrontation. But 10 days later, the notebook resurfaced, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. When I asked her about it, Sarah explained that she had been helping Mike learn phrases in Mandarin to flirt, referencing a conversation we'd had months ago about his failed attempts at dating. Her explanation made sense. It was logical, even. But the doubt didn't fully disappear. It lingered. To test her, I asked to message Mike about something random. Without hesitation, Sarah handed me her phone. Her confidence in my trust made me feel guilty for doubting her in the first place, but the doubts don't disappear that easily. I know this isn't about Sarah, it's about me. She's been nothing but loving, open, and transparent. But my insecurities? They're harder to shake. I'm starting to think maybe therapy would help me deal with this stuff, but I don't know. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts. Am I overreacting, or is there something more I should be worried about? Thanks for reading.